Hello and welcome to Work Life Matters. I'm Siv Ngesi, your host, and I'm excited to be bringing you candid stories, practical strategies, and awesome insights as we chat to a range of cross-section professionals, entrepreneurs, and startups, and much more to find out about how work life matters to you, about them. Today I'm talking to Gift Labella, Lorna Pretorius, and Nthakoana Maema about sustainable community. I hope you enjoy. Ntaks, how are you doing today?
I'm good, and you?
They call you the Oribi CEO.
Yes.
Just CEO. Just there. I got this from the internet. It says she's an enterprise enthusiast who strongly believes in self-actualization, economic justice, and social change in Africa. Woo! Where do you start? One step
At a time.
at a time.
So basically, what it's saying is I believe that everyone can be an agent of change. And I believe that entrepreneurship is a tool that can help people to be agents of change. So whether you're entrepreneurially minded, when you look at situations around you in whichever environment, you are always wanting to pursue some form of difference and something that is better. For society, that is, because I believe in social entrepreneurship, and I believe that that is the mindset and that is the way of acting that is going to transform our continent.
So, where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Lesotho.
Right. Overseas. So far. Within. Within,
But far. Yeah, that's the right one. And then half of my other life, I was also in Pietermaritzburg, and now I'm in Cape Town. That's where I'm from.
You grew up in Lesotho, I grew up in South Africa, and we grew up in townships. We had the mama selling the peanuts. We had the hairdresser. We had the person cutting hair. That's entrepreneurship. Why do people make entrepreneurship sound like it's a westernized culture when we have it happening right now?
Yeah, I think a lot of that has got to do with definitions. And when you start to look at it at the systems level, when you start to look at who's funding entrepreneurship, who's writing policies around entrepreneurship, then the definitions start to exclude a certain type of an entrepreneur. And we do find that an entrepreneur, like you've described, one who has found a way to generate income differently. Sometimes, like for example, what you would call a lady who's selling vegetables on the side of the street, then normally demonized or probably antagonized by the system because they're informal entrepreneurs. However, if we value those kind of entrepreneurs more, especially in a country where we have such high unemployment, and we start to create supportive systems to help those businesses to transform from a survival business to a sustainable business, what kind of country would we have? So I think, our perspective and our solutions, if they come from that lens, which is Western or Eurocentric, we will create solutions that are not actually going to solve South Africans' problems. And the problems that are, for example, being faced by township places, by women, by youth. So we have to have a different lens and a different way of looking and recognizing and celebrating the kind of different entrepreneurship styles that we have.
Why does sustainability matter?
That's a big question.
Because if you're in the township, hand to mouth, can you think about sustainability, or is it hand to mouth, paycheck to paycheck?
Exactly. I think that is one of the most difficult things in our context, is that most people that we're living are living beyond the poverty line. So each day that you're waking up, you're trying to survive. Right? You're trying to get your basic needs so that you can survive. However, the story that is not being really told in the sustainability conversations is that Africa is actually at most risk of climate change, mainly especially because of that. If a shock, like we saw with COVID, if a big shock disrupts our economy and society, it's us who do not have the right resources in order to be able to respond and to protect ourselves. We are not consuming the resources and have been exacerbating the climate change situation. However, we are the ones who suffer the impacts. We are seeing it in our weather conditions. We are seeing it with more disruptive shocks in our systems. And if you look at, for example, KZN, we did not have the right resources in order to be able to react to what was happening there. So how we need to, my feeling and my understanding is how we need to start to engage with sustainability is first to engage with the person that you're trying to educate. Engage with what is their life about. Understand what is that survivalist about. How do they survive every day? And then bridge the two. Sustainability has got to do with the food that you're eating. Sustainability has got to do with the water that you need. Sustainability has got to do with the energy that you need. Once I make it relevant to my everyday life, then I'm able to engage and therefore start to discover and unpack what this whole big sustainability thing. So I think the conversation needs to move a little bit away from scientists, activists, policy, and it needs to come to us as community and as people who are the ones who are living in this world that is limited and that is suffering. Yeah.
You said it on point. For me, it's about, if you know what you're talking about, you should be able to tell the person on the everyday street and have the message to be accessible. If you're using all these big words in 2023, I'm always like, everyone has a big word for everything. And you're like, if you're the person on the ground and you can't talk to the majority of the country, what does it mean? What does it mean?
Yes, and we have to give people choices, right? I was actually challenged by a peer a few weeks ago because normally we also say, okay, in this space, in order to bring it meaning, let's use art-based approach it. Let's approach it with art and interact with sustainability using art because everyone can engage with art. Let's engage with sustainability using low-tech, for example. Those are the terms that we'll use because it's accessible to the kind of phones that we have and are able to use. However, that is obviously necessary, but also give people choices. Give people choices to be able to choose that this language that you're speaking to me, I don't understand it. How can we together start to redefine it in a way that I understand? Because if I understand, at least people in my household are going to understand and people in my street are going to understand. I'm going to be able to communicate about it differently on social media. And I think that's why you're seeing this huge wave of young people that are advocating for sustainability and the conversation is changing. So the language is so important and the options and the choices that we allow and we enable people to be able to have access to is also important.
This kind of work is not the kind of work that you do just because you want a paycheck. This is the kind of work that you got to be passionate about it. What is your why? What wakes you up in the morning?
So one of my biggest values is freedom. Another one is, I would say, justice. And since I was a child, I've always, and I felt strange because I always saw disparities. And I didn't understand why. I didn't understand why when we're living in the same country, there's disparities. I didn't understand why when we're in the same schools, there's disparities. So for me, I think that became a driver to how do we start to create the world in a way that it's more equal. And as I've gotten older and as I've started to understand that, the economy is designed in a certain way, that's why it excludes. Or business models are designed in a certain way, that's why some people don't have access to quality products and quality services, is why then I got into the space of impact, and especially impact entrepreneurship, because I have a feeling that it bridges the world of NGOs, which are also unsustainable in the way they operate, and to also bridge to bridge the for-profit motive, and also to bridge public motives, as in state or government motives, but also through action, because we're too stuck in dialogue. We're too stuck in research papers. But impact entrepreneurship is actually a use case and is a platform and a tool where people can experiment for new solutions. So that's what makes me wake up, like to wake up and discover and learn about someone who's innovated and who's imagined to do something differently to solve our social, economic, and environmental problems. That's why I wake up.
How do you make sustainability sustainable? because it's sustainable. Making something sustainable is expensive. Sis. It's not cheap. It's very easy.
I think that for sustainability to be sustainable, collective co-ownership is important, right? Firstly, we also have to interrogate the system, the market system that is now trying to create these sustainable products, because it's bringing products to us using the same logic that it's also creating these fancy cell phones. So how is it going to be affordable? If you treat food, which is a basic right, as a commodity, how is it going to be affordable? But the only way that it can be affordable is if we start to have partnership. The food system, for example, is one of the markets where we have probably 5 actors that are dominating the market. But if you open that up a little bit, and you introduce new actors and they act collectively, then it can be more sustainable. Also, we have to let go of ownership. We have to let go of being, I just read a quote where it was talking about the future will be about having small acts of good businesses, good actions, all over the place, in different languages, in different ways, doing such good work that there's no one who will be able to be famous for it. And I think that is the future of sustainability. It's challenged me in that way, in the sense that if we have a collective and a co-ownership mindset, it will work.
What a pleasure to listen to you speak. Thank you so much for all the insight. And thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. I hope you understood. I
understood.
Sense.
I got you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Cool.
After that episode, I really am inspired to be a better version of myself. Next time I bite into an apple, I will think where it came from and I'll think where it's going. See you on the next episode.